We still do 7 NUFC Matters show a week for free. But if you want to help support NUFC Matters, then there are a few ways of doing it. Hit the like button on each live broadcast and video. This helps the channel grow. Hit the subscribe button and select the all notifications bell so you don't miss a single show. If you want to help us financially, then you can join the channel using this button with the membership starting at $1.99 a month. Or you can drop us a donation in the chat using a super sticker. We're also looking for sponsors. If you'd like your brand advertised on the flyers for the show and featured during the ad break, then email John at nufcmatters.com to arrange today.
Attack. It feels like I've been talking to myself again, but it's the only way you're ever gonna learn. You look back and it's all in the past. I'm dwelling on the thoughts I cannot say to you. If I don't say the words, then maybe it's not true. And it feels alright when they come and say to you,
good evening and welcome along to another episode of Those Were the Days on NUFC Matters. And as always, I hand over the controls of the channel to George. George, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Good to see everybody.
Great stuff. And what season are we looking at today?
2004-05, and anybody that's got a memory at all will find that it's quite a sad season, really, but it certainly was for me. They decided in their wisdom to get rid of Bobby Robson, and all sorts of other things happened on and off the pitch, which shouldn't happen in Newcastle United, but always do happen in Newcastle United. Anyway, let's see what unfolds as we go through it. Just as I usually do, put the thing into perspective. If you were a cinema goer, picture goer, the top movies were Kill Bill Volume 2, Spider-Man 2, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, Shaun of the Dead, and The Notebook. One or two which I'd seen, and one or two I would never be likely to go and see. In music terms, well, it interesting. Some of these people I'd never even heard of. Eamon, I remember, but the title of the song's a bit iffy. F It, I Don't Want You Back. Eric Prydz, Call on Me. Anastasia, Left Outside Alone. And Gigi Clasper, Cha Cha Slide. And further down the list at 10, a name which some people might not even remember. Michelle McManus, the Scottish girl that won the talent competition, gets in at number 10 with All This Time. So that's what's happening outside of football. Inside of football, as I say, well, an up and down season with, however, up and down or not, still average gate for the season, nearly 52,000. I mean, goodness gracious, how loyal are our fans. And with top goal scorer, none other than Mr. Shearer, of course. Right. Kick off the season with the usual and some lovely strips, I think, this year. If I was a collector of goalkeeping strips, some of those I would have in my collection, but I'm not. They went on a tour of Thailand at the beginning of the season, and then they came back and played Ipswich, Rangers, Sporting Lisbon, and Celtic, all friendlies before the season started off, which is quite a range of warm-ups to get them ready for the season. First match of the season in the Premiership was at Middlesbrough, Tyne Tees Derby. Well, I call it the Tyne Tees Derby, and it always for me is an interesting game, and it has personal feelings because I think I've mentioned on here numerous times. I have family that live in Middlesbrough, and so if we went to Middlesbrough to the match, we used to make a weekend of it, and the girls used to come. My mother and Marjorie by then was coming as well, and they would go with me aunts to my aunts and Chinwag and go shopping, and we would go to the match. Well, I've also mentioned that I had a cousin who used to say he was coming to the match, and as we passed the Thai massage parlour, he took a left as we took a right. and then when we got back home, I always used to love it because he used to talk about the match as though he'd seen every kick. Never mind. That's the problems for the Mitchells. Middlesbrough, the first game, a good game at the end-to-end stuff. Middlesbrough, tidy side at this time. I mean, Schwarzer, Resigna, Ekeog, Rigot, Parnaby, Mendieta, Boateng, Parler, Zenden, Job, and Jimmy Hasselbank, Floyd Hasselbank. That's a tidy side, but we weren't too bad either. Given, Carr, Bernard, Elliott, Hughes, Milner, Jenas, Butt, Robert, Shearer, and Bellamy, and playing good football we were, and so were they. We got off to a reasonable start, and Bellamy just sails through the Middlesbrough defence on 14 minutes and makes it 1-0, and that's how it stayed till half-time. We end-to-end stuff in the second half, and didn't look like anybody was going to score. Lots of woodwork getting plastered, but nobody hit the net. And then all of a sudden, Stuart Downing, the lightning winger of Middlesbrough, he fastened onto a ball and left our defenders in his wake and made it 1-1 on 73 minutes. And then we got a penalty in 83 minutes. Ekeog just basically wrestled Shearer to the ground, and Shearer gets up and scores. So on 83 minutes, you think, well, that's it. And then, lo and behold, at the last kick of the game, Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank, a screamer from 30 yards out of nowhere, and it's 2-2, and that's how it stayed. But an away fixture and a difficult one, and gets off to a reasonable start. Our next game is at home to Tottenham Hotspur, and Spurs are one of the group of clubs that are being tipped to have a shot at the title this particular year, and we 52,000 at the ground, and no changes in the team for us against as we had once we're given Carr, Bernard, Hughes, O'Brien, Butt, Milner, Jenas, Shearer, Bellamy, and Robert. Spurs with Robinson, a big lad, goalkeeper, Iffel, Nabet, King, Edman, Atuba, Pedro Mendes, Davis, Redknapp, Defoe, and Canute, and a tidy side. They're playing good football, and it's end-to-end stuff. Didn't look like anybody was going to hit the back of the net first half, and just sliding towards that way, people thought after half-time. But then Atuba, very skillful player from midfield, ghosted through and made it 1-0 on 51 minutes. Try as we might try to get it back, we couldn't. So we lose our first home game 1-0. Fortunately, we get a chance to redeem ourselves with Norwich City coming on the Wednesday night, live on Sky. And it's interesting, the people who write this, and I'm sure it's Biffa that writes this, puts the conditions down. And the conditions he writes are farcical. Well, I remember it being a wet night, but farcical. Maybe he was talking about the game because it was a bit of a giveaway. We tried our hardest to lose this one. Anyway, we played Norwich, and unchanged team again, which is great. And Norwich come with Green, Edworthy, Fleming, Charlton, Drury, McVeigh, Francis, Holt, Bentley, Huckabee, and Doherty. Well, of course, Huckabee we know very well. And Hold, a long-standing attacker, a very dangerous attacker in the Norwich sides. Going to need to be watched. Good game, good football from both sides, end-to-end stuff. And it looks like we might be on our way to a victory, because just before half-time, none other than that man Bellamy again goes through the Norwich defence and just, with his pace, and just slots the ball in the bottom corner, and we'll go in at half-time 1-0. And we think, well, that's good. And then after half-time, we don't look like we're going to give anything away. And sure enough, on 50 minutes, Hughes from a corner, one of his rare goals for the club, makes it 2-0. And everybody thinks, well, that's it. That's 3 points in the bag. Well, that's not how it went, because on 52 minutes, the lad Bentley for Norwich, a good, tidy attacker, scores on 52 minutes, and we think, well, 2-1's not bad. Well, and lo and behold, on 74 minutes, the lad Doherty that comes and gets a header from a corner, and it's 2-2. And it would be churlish to say that Norwich didn't deserve it, because they did, and they made us hang on to the very end. So a draw is it's a point, but if we're going to do anything in the league, these are games we should be winning. So we then go to an away game at Villa Park, Aston Villa, and always tidy games with Villa. Conditions warm and sunny, says the programme, but not warm and sunny as far as playing's concerned, because within 4 minutes, Melberg, a midfielder, has put them in the lead, and it looks like that's how it's going to go. But no, Clivert thinks not. On 28 minutes, he scores the header, and then lo and behold, O'Brien on 36 minutes slots in a second, and we're going half-time 2-1, having looked like we're not even going to be in the match. But after half-time, Villa come out a different team. They're really having a go for this one, and it's not long before Cole scores on 53 minutes, and Barry, the long-time player, scores on 71, and Angel scores on 82. So it becomes 4-2. And even with the most biased hat on, which I would have, obviously, Villa absolutely took it off with. There's never any question that who was going to win. And the team, Sorensen, De La Cruz, Melberg, Delaney, Samuel, Solano, is a name we know, McCann, Hitzelberger, Barry, Cole, and Vassell. And we unchanged team for about the third time in the season, but it didn't do any good at Villa Park. We really did get beaten this one. Got a bit spicy towards the end, and Samuel, Sorensen, and Henry got booked for Villa, and Shea Given got booked at Aston Villa. They obviously had decided that they were going to target Shea, because Shea wasn't the biggest, tallest goalkeeper, and Barry, Cole, and Vassell were kind of forming a ring around him. Well, he got fed up, and he was lucky he didn't get sent off, because I think he planted something on Vassell and got a yellow card for it. But 4-2 loss, folks, and not one of our better games. And the next game is home to Blackburn Rovers, and everybody's hoping that we'll recover from the upsets that we've had so far. And again, Bobby Robson sticks to the same team, given Carl O'Brien, Hughes, Elliott, Jeunesse, Bowyer, Robert, Shearer, Bellamy. And good game. Both sides playing attacking football. Good game to watch. And Blackburn with Friedel, Neil, Short, Matteo, Gray, Emerton, Flitcroft, Ferguson, Pedersen, Dickoff, and Stead. and Dick off a bit of a pain for us, as was Stead. Always seemed to score against us. Anyway, things start off very well with Shearer forcing an own goal off Flitcroft, and on 9 minutes, and then on 16 minutes, Shearer makes it 2-0. So we go in comfortable at half time, and people think, well, perhaps we'll get a couple more, or even more after the half time. It wasn't to be. Blackburn dug their heels in and defended very well second half. And O'Brien from centre half got a header from a corner and made it 3-0 on 83 minutes. And that's how it stayed till the end. And the substitutes, we had Amiobi on for Bellamy, Dyer on for Milner, and then Nzogia on for Robert, and Harper and Cliver were the substitutes not used. But 3-0 little bit gets where we're winning ways off to a start, and thank goodness for that, because we'd been looking a bit ropey after that. And the next game is UEFA Cup first round, first leg. Hapoel bin Shakim, which is Israeli side, and good crowd for this. Sometimes the European matches the crowd dropped a little, but this didn't. It still was in the 50,000s, and these are a bit of an unknown in the crowd, but unknown or not, Newcastle looked very, very comfortable with Cliver playing one, in my view, in this game, one of his best games for Newcastle, because it was all about him. 3 minutes he scores with a beautiful header, and then at 41 minutes just before half time, a nice drive from the edge of the box. And he was in one of those moods where he was virtually unplayable and gliding over the turf. We could have done a few more like that from him, but a good win. In their side, of course, lots of Israeli internationals, but other internationals as well from Germany and elsewhere. Sohn and Hamoud played for Germany while they were there. So 2-0 gets a good start into the UEFA Cup first round, first leg, and we the only best thing to say about it was good start. The other thing is there was a little bit of nastiness, and the man Sohn, who I said played for Germany, and Nicky Butt decided that after some pushing in the penalty area that it should become a boxing match, and they had a go at each other, and both were sent off on about 70 minutes. So such is life in football. Next game is at Southampton. We're away to Southampton. Not one of our best travels, but it's St Mary's Stadium. We've not had a bad record there, and with a unchanged team, we go with some hope, and Southampton have Naemi, the goalkeeper, Nilsson, Luke Van Dam, Jacobson, Graham Lasso, Fernandez, Prutton, Delap of the long throw, Anders Svensson at centre forward, Phillips and Beattie. And that's a trio of good attackers. There's Svensson, Phillips and Beattie, but it's we just seem to be up for it on this occasion. And just before half time, Shearer forces Prutton to put in his own goal on 45, so we go in at 1-0 at half time. And then on 53 minutes, Svensson, the big centre forward, heads in from a corner, and you think, well, is it going to 1-1, or we're going to hang on here? But within 5 minutes, Carr, our fullback Stephen Carr, who had occasionally let loose a pile driver, did on this occasion, and made it 2-1. And it was a big fight to the end after that, because Southampton really wanted to get back in it, but couldn't. And however, we went home with a 2-1 victory, which was great as far as we're concerned. Next game is at home to West Bromwich Albion. Again, West Bromwich and James always has some good memories for me, because I've seen some good games with West Brom. High-scoring games. I mean, one of the best in the 50s I saw was a 7-3. And it looked like every time the teams went forward, somebody was going to score. Where West Brom had Ronnie Allen and Derek Kevin, big forward in the lineup, and we were relying on Milburn, etc., to pull things back. Anyway, West Brom at St James's, they're not playing very well, and we should really get something out of this. Slightly dull, dry conditions, no wind, and we go with a slightly different team with Given, Carr, Elliott, O'Brien, Bernard, Bellamy in the start this time, Bowyer, Butt, Jennis, Shearer and Clivert. West Brom have hold good old goalkeeper, well-known goalkeeper character. Simica, Pearce, Gardso, Albertson, Greening, who West Brom got from Manchester United, Clement, Johnson, Kumas, Kanu and Earnshaw. Earnshaw, dangerous little Welsh forward. Got to keep an eye on him. And on the bench was Horsfield, who's ex-Newcastle schoolboy. We get off to a decent start, but we can't put the ball in the net. We pin them back, and go in 0-0. After half time, it continues in the same vein. It looks like we're not going to get anything out of this one after all, just a point. But then Clive, a bit of class from him, good control at the edge of the box, and then it slided through underneath the goalkeeper for 1-0 on 70 minutes. And James Milner scores a peach of a goal from some distance out on 78. And it looks like the 3 points are ours. And then that's made even more obvious on 86 when Alan Shearer from a corner volleys the ball in the bottom of the net. And that's that, everybody thinks. But then Arthur Horsfield on 87, of course, from a corner gets a nice header and makes it 3-1. So we couldn't keep the clean sheet, but we got the 3 points. It was a bit of a kicking match towards the end of the game. And Bowyer, Elliott and Clivert for Newcastle were booked. Pearce and Greening for fouls on Bellamy and Bernard for West Bromwich. And then Pearce almost decapitated Clivert with a high kick. And that was him for the early bath on about 70 minutes. So little bit of naughties, but otherwise not a bad game. But West Brom, not a very good side, and just as well we beat them. So we get rid of West Brom. We're now back to the match, the return match in the European UEFA Cup first round, second leg in Tel Aviv against Hapoel Ben Sakim. And we saw nothing for us to fear when they were at St James's Park, and I think that's what Bobby might have said to them, because from the minute they went out, it looked like they were going to have a go for this one. 9 minutes, Clivert scores, and then on 13 they equalised through Masoudi. Then after that, it was all Newcastle. 38 minutes, Shearer. 42 minutes, Clivert. 52 minutes, Shearer penalty. And then the last kick of the game, Shearer's hat-trick, 90 minutes. and we come out 5-1 winners, which gives a fantastic aggregate score to go through. Unexpectedly easy. Everybody expected it to be much tougher than that, but again, got a bit spicy with 4 bookings on the Israeli side and 3 on ours, and a red card from Muramburo, who's an African playing for them, comes on as substitute for the silly deliberate handball. It was being played through, and Shearer would have run on and scored almost certainly, and he just stuck his hand out and played basketball with it and got sent off. So, however, a nice aggregate score to go through to the next round with. And we're now at Birmingham City at St Andrews. St Andrews, a very old traditional ground. I don't know, I haven't been for a long time, but it's one of those grounds where you think time stood still. At the old iron ramps for people to lean on in the ground, and old steelwork in the stands, or wooden stand. But however, a real football club, that's what you say about Birmingham, at least I would say. And we go there with the big win in midweek, bringing in my ears. So let's have a go for this. And it looks like we might. Same team, Given, Carr, Bryan, Elliott, Bernard, Bellamy, Butt, Jennings, Bowyer, Shearer and Clivert. Birmingham City, Mark Taylor, Melchiot, Cunningham, Upson, who they got from Everton, Clapton, Grunkier, Izzet, who they got from Leicester, Robbie Savage of blonde-haired fame, Dunn and Heskey, Emil Heskey. So there's some tidy players in there. Some of them on the downside. However, it's quite a nice game. There's some good football being played, and 3 minutes, Jimmy and Jennings puts us 1-0 in the lead, and then Dwight York comes on for Heskey, and he's hardly on 5 minutes, and he makes it 1-1, and goes right to half time 1-1, and it seems like this is the way it might end, but no, the pace he hots up after the interval, and Birmingham press us, and then from a corner taken by Izzet, Upson big centre half heads in 2-1 in the lead, and it looks like we're going to lose this one, but no, we come back at them, and Nicky Butt scores a nice goal from just inside the penalty area to make it 2-2 on 67 minutes, and it looks like that's how it'll stay. Wasn't a dirty match, but there was 3 bookings on each side. Dunn, Clements, and Robbie Savage was always going to get booked, wasn't he? I mean, that's him. But for us, we had the same problem, didn't we? Bowyer, predictable, and Elliott and Butt all get booked, and but we come home with a point, a 2-2 draw, which is no bad thing. We're then off away again on the Sunday the following Sunday to Charlton Athletic, and Charlton at the wrong end of the league. They're struggling for form. We're slightly better than that. We're about mid-table at the moment, and we go with an unchanged team. Bobby, a very loyal manager, changes substitutes. Ambrose and Amiobi come on. Edgar on the bench. Charlton, tidy side. Dean Cayley, character in goal. Young, Perry, Fortune, Heradison, Romadal, Stewart, Holland, Murphy, Bartlett, and Lisby. A tidy side, but shouldn't be bothering us. We go unchanged virtually, and it's not a bad game. It's not a bad football game, and it looks like we might be in for something here. When on 39 minutes, Bellamy slots in one of his customary knock-in tap-ins after a very long pacey run, And it looks like that's half time. We go in at 1-0 and think, well, let's hope we'll get the 3 points. However, second half we bit of a backs the wall. Charlton decide to have a go, and then lo and behold, on 51 minutes, out of nowhere, there's a speculative shot by Lisby, and it hits Stephen Carr on the backside, and Shea Given's got no chance, and it's 1-1. And that's the way it stayed to the end. There was never looked like anybody got going to make any difference to that. Shola comes on as a sub, and almost as soon as he comes on 89 minutes, he gets booked for arguing with the linesman. And Stewart, the Charlton attacker, gets booked for arguing with the referee. But nothing serious. So a 1-1 draw, and we're not doing so bad. We now have the UEFA Cup game, Group Game 1, against Panathinaikos in Athens. Shouldn't bother with a good Greek side, but in terms of European terms, there's nothing really that they should be frightening us with. And Bobby goes with a strong team, unchanged team, and in the hope that'll see we're through. And it's a fairly dull game. First half 0-0. One or two names that people might mention in the Panathinaikos side. Dodd is Scottish international playing for them. Tsizolis, a Greek international who's a talented player. Giannopoulos, another talented Greek international, and Doramode, who's a German playing for them. Playing good football, but really shouldn't be bothering us. But it looks like it's going to go to a very, very, very dismal 0-0 at the end, to be honest. Then lo and behold, the Giannopoulos, who I've just mentioned, decided that he would take Shearer out the game in the penalty area, and on 87 minutes, Shearer gets up and takes the penalty, and we go home with a 1-0 win. So that's a great start to that particular round. Not a bad game. Not a bad game. Is fair enough. We come home to a challenging game against Manchester City in the league. Always decent games at Manchester City. And unchanged team, given Carr, Elliot O'Brien, Bernard, Jennis, but Bowyet, Robert, Shearer and Bellamy. And Manchester City, talented squad. James from Liverpool. Danny Mills, of course, who's love of Newcastle on TV, comes over immeasurably when you sit and watch and listen to him. Distan, who used to be our centre back. Dunn, Thatcher from Wimbledon. Wright Phillips. Bosvelt, McManaman from Liverpool. Sibierski, who finds his way to us eventually. Mackin and Elka, Nicholas Anelka. Nicholas Anelka, I think Manchester City were his third club in about 6 months, and made piles of money on each move. Anyway, good two good sides, two footballing sides, and that's how it panned out. It was the conditions were pleasant, and in brackets, mad. I think the reporters referring to the fact that the game was crazy. They went in 0-0 at half time. It could have been 5-5, never mind 0-0. And it went along the same lines after half time. And then on 49 minutes, Lauren Robert with a free kick, bang, we're 1-0 up. Everybody thinks, well, that's great. 58 minutes, a penalty, and Shearer makes it 2-0. We think, well, smashing. Then lo and behold, Wright Phillips pops up and scores. Robbie Fowler, who's come on as substitute for Anelka, scores from a penalty spot for them, so we're 2-2. And then just to make it feel right, Elliott scores a rare goal for Newcastle and makes it 3-2. And then Sean Wright-Phillips pops up and again, and it's 3-3. But then right at the last death, Bellamy runs through them and makes it 4-3. An entertaining game, a good victory, and as I say, two talented teams playing some very, very decent football. It was a match I certainly enjoyed. That's for sure. We're next to home to Norwich City, and the swirling wind throughout. It says light rain as well and showers. We third round of the Carling Cup. This is, and we know Norwich. We played them, and tidy football side, especially with people we know on the side like Darren Huckabee and Jury and one or two dangerous characters in the side. It looks like we're going to be doing all right in this. 2 minutes, Jermaine Jennings gets a flick in off a corner. And then on 42 minutes, we get a penalty. And who should step up and take it? But Shola Amiobi, because Bobby's decided to rest Alan Shearer. And our team has slightly changed. Harper, Hughes, Johnson, Bramble, Bernard, Milner, Ambrose, Jennings, Robbie, Amiobi and Clivert. And 2-0 at half time. Well, 56 minutes, Huckabee, our old player striker, makes it 2-1. But we never looked like we were in danger. And Shearer had the ignominy of being not used substitute, but I think that was a deliberate tactic by Bogey. Give Alan.
Can I just mention, wasn't Bobby Robson sacked on the 30th of August, George? He was sacked after the Villa game. You've just said, Bobby, it was Graham Souness now, wasn't it?
Yes, it was Graham Souness. Sorry, yes. And I think that was part of the changes that was in the team. Yes, I really should have picked that up. Sorry, Steve. Thanks for that. That's good. Yeah, the Villa debacle was the end for Bobby. I think prematurely myself, and having hosted a couple of dinners at the university with Freddie Shebbert and his brother at my table, I got the distinct impression that Freddie regretted what happened as well. But who knows? But it wasn't good. It wasn't handled very well either, I don't think. But thanks for that, Steve. That's
no problem.
That's right. So we're at Bolton now, and it's a game we should win. The Reebok Stadium. It's Bolton aren't tearing up any trees. They're very ordinary, and but as always with Newcastle, that's just the time that you end up getting surprised. We actually weren't in this game really. We struggled to get to the 0-0 at half time at Bolton, and it always looked like if anybody was going to score, it was going to be Bolton. And then Hadj Diouf, their dangerous player, on 52 minutes did just that, made it 1-0. Then we thought, oh goodness, we're in for a beating here, but we weren't. The Darren Ambrose sent in one of his pile drivers, total surprise, to make it 1-1, and everybody thought, oh, going to get something out of this. But then Bolton's other big attacker, Kevin Davis, on 70 minutes, brilliant header from a corner, and Bolton have it 2-1. Our side, given Carr, Elliott, O'Brien, Hughes, Ambrose, Bowyer, Butt, Bellamy, Clivert, and Shearer. Bolton, Jaskalainen, their brilliant goalkeeper, Hunt, Ngotti, Jaddy, Gardner, Speed is a name we know, Nolan, a name we know, Okocha, Giannopoulos, who had just come in from Greece, because we just mentioned them before, Kevin Davis and Haj Diouf. And 2 bookings, and you could have guessed who they would be. For them, Diouf, for taking his shirt off and when he scored and shaking his shirt around, I always think that's when you think people could nearly get kicked to death and don't get sent off or booked, and here's a bloke swings his shirt around and gets booked the yellow card. There's something farcical about that for me. And for us, of course, it was Bowyer, wasn't it? Could you put your money on that? We had a bet on that one. So we're come Bolton, and we're home to the next UEFA Cup Group 2 game against Dinamo Tbilisi. Not a big crowd at this one, as our commentator says. Conditions sparse, he says. I think he's right. I don't think there was 30,000 at this game, which is surprising, because the crowd's been very, very loyal. I suspect that more reaction to what had happened off the pitch than what happened on the pitch. Anyway, it's a tidy game. They're not a bad side, and we give it a real go. 38 minutes, Shearer makes it 1-0 for half time, and then we play the second half, and it's end-to-end stuff. And then on 56 minutes, Bellamy picks up a rebound from a Shearer volley and makes it 2-0, and that's the way it stays to the end. They press us quite hard, and give us 1 or 2 scares, but never look like they're going to make any big impression on us. And so we run out 2-0 winners, which is not bad. Considering the team we're playing, because Tbilisi had some sort of a reputation at that time, but they didn't bring it to St James's Park with them, that's for sure. Next game, we're at home to Fulham on the Sunday, and awful weather this month. Just unstable, says the reporter. Well, it was unstable in terms of weather, but it was unstable on the pitch as well. This was a deploring result. We never seemed to get into the game at all, and we were 1-0 up at half time. Nobody thought, oh, well, it's time to get back. Well, and Malbranc got a hat-trick virtually, and Radzinski scored, and Fulham were 4 up before we even thought about it. Bellamy got a consolation on 77, but it was not one of our better days. It really was unstable, to say the least, and we had our side wasn't bad. It was Harper, Hughes, Elliott, O'Brien, Bernard Jonas, Bud Bowyer, Clivert, Shearer and Bellamy, which is a side that should have done better than it did against that Fulham side, but we were just never in it, and we then go to Chelsea. Sorry, we've got another home game against Chelsea in the 4th round of the Carling Cup. It's a tough game. Chelsea, very, very, very talented side. Certainly pulling up trees in the league, because they're top and looks like they're going to skate the championship the way they're playing. And with a talented squad like this, Cudicini, Johnson, Terry, Gallas, Bridge, Fiera, Thiago, Parker, Duff, Kesman and Cole. That's quite a talented side with a lot of tidy footballers in it, and names we know, of course, Parker and Wayne Bridge and Duff, Damien Duff. So a good side. We got 1 or 2 changes. Bramble comes in, so we got Given, O'Brien, Bramble, Johnson, Bernard, Bellamy, Butch, Ennis, Robert, Shearer and Clivert. And end-to-end stuff, but nobody can put the ball in the back of the net. The woodwork's rattled a few times at both ends. But then we go into extra time, and on 100 minutes, Go Johnson, who's come on for Parker, and Robin on 112 minutes comes on for Duff, and it's 2-0 to Chelsea after extra time. So a defeat which people weren't happy about, because we did play quite well, which is always disappointing when that happens. So next time it's Manchester United at home. Another of the sides that's vying for the title at the top. They're actually second at the moment when we played them in this one. And of course, they've got this multi-talented team. Our team's unchanged, given Carl Bramble, Johnson, etc. But they come with Carroll, Gary Neville, Ferdinand, Silvestre, Heinz, Fletcher, Keane, Scholes, Ronaldo, Van Nistelrooy, and Rooney. And, very talented team. Always going to make life difficult for whoever they play. And on 7 minutes, Wayne Rooney puts them in the lead. And we do well to hang on to half time. Then afterwards, it's a bit more even. We're doing all right. And then, lo and behold, it looks like we might get a draw out of it, because Shearer beats the Manchester United defence. They tried to play an offside, and Shearer was up for it and made it 1-1. But then within minutes, they get a penalty, a clumsy challenge by Bramble and on this Van Nistelrooy, and he stands up and takes the penalty, and it's 2-1. Then on 90 minutes, last kick of the game, Wayne Rooney comes back to get his second goal, and they get well and truly a 3-1 win, and we never looked like we were going to win it, but we did at least give it a bit of a go. So 3-1 down to Manchester United. Disappointing, but hardly surprising. As I say, at that moment in time, they were actually second in the league. And next game is away to Crystal Palace at Selhurst Park, and steady rain for most of the game, says our reporter. Well, it certainly gets reported that in the reports I've seen of this particular game, and but 0-0 at half time. We're in it right without any problems. It doesn't look like we're going to get breach for defence. And we've got same team: Given, Hughes, Bramble, Johnson, Bernard, Dyer, Bowyer, Jenis, Robbie, Clivert, and Bellamy. And Palace have got Curley, Boyce, Hall, Popovich, Granville, Routledge, Wayne Routledge, of course, who came to us eventually, Watson, Rialti, Cocola, Hughes, and Johnson. And 79 minutes, Patrick Clivert slides one in from a corner. 88 minutes, just before the end of the match, and Bellamy scores a typical Bellamy goal, long run, slide the ball into the bottom corner, and we go home 2-0 with the points. And very nicely. It was a game we'd never looked like in trouble in, and Palace had were a tidy side at that time. We then go to the UEFA Cup group game 3, and we played Shaw at the French team, and unknown, but have some tidy internationals in the side, and so expecting quite a tough game. Well, it's not as tough as we think. Within 29 minutes, Bowyer puts us 1-0 in the lead, and that's the way it stays at half time. But the second half, Newcastle just take the game over, and with Amiobi on 46, Bellamy on 75, And Rob Air with a blast of a free kick from well outside the penalty area, 90 minutes, makes it 4-0. So a very good result, an away result. Shaw's got some talented players, Diawara, Matteo, Menez, all good French internationals, but just didn't perform on that night. And 4-0 wins an excellent start for Newcastle United, especially away from home. And then we're at home to Everton, and it's rainy, almost continual rain. The commentator comments, well, I remember, yeah, it was continuous rain. It was awful. But not a bad sight, not a bad game, end-to-end stuff. Bellamy on 5 minutes, looks like we're going to get involved straight away, but Everton on giving this one up easily. So it's end-to-end stuff with team unchanged. Interestingly, Taylor comes on the bench for the first time, and Everton with Martin in goal, Hibbert, Stubbs, Weir, Pistoni, our ex-fullback, Italian fullback, Cahill, Osman, Gravison, Carsley, Kilban, and Bent. And that's not a bad Everton side, actually. So Bellamy in 5 minutes, then 56-minute Carsley goes in from nowhere to flick in a corner, and it's 1-1. After that, it was end-to-end stuff. Both teams not wanting to give it up and having to go for it, but 1-1 we got, and not a bad. In the end, not a bad result from a side that was playing reasonably well. And we're away to Chelsea. Now, Chelsea are running away with the league at this point. So going there at this stage, we're going to have to be really up for it if we're going to get anything out of it at all. Well, we're not up for it, and we don't get anything out of it. How it stays 0-0 at half time, I don't know, because Chelsea just do everything but put the ball in the back of the net. Everyone 63 minutes, Frank Lambord scores. 69 minutes, Didier Drogba makes it 2. Ian Robin, 89 minutes, makes it 3. And Kesman from the penalty spot with a last-minute penalty. Bramble bringing down Drogba in the area. It goes to 4. And you can see why Chelsea were running away with the league. They just were untouchable that night. And played some really, really good football. The mystery is still why it stayed 0-0 at half time. So we then come home to a home game against Portsmouth. Portsmouth at the wrong end of the table, and it isn't expected to be anything special this game, because they're hanging on for grim death for that first division, the Premiership position, and we aren't pulling up trees either at the moment. So we're doing all right, given Taylor, Hughes, Bramble, slight changes, Bernard, Jennis, Bowyer, Dyer, Milner, Bellamy, and Amiobi. This is a period of time where Shearer's injured. He's missing a few games. Portsmouth, some talented players, but on the wrong side of age, really. Ashdown, Griffin, who we know, Stefanovic, Jizou, Primus, Stone, Fai, who we got to know even better, O'Neill, Berger, Loa, who we know, and Fuller. Some tidy football, but neither side looked like they were going to do anything special. It was a big surprise early on in 3 minutes when Bowyer managed to ghost in a corner and make it 1-0. And then Stone on 30 minutes scored a blinder from nowhere. We go in 1-1 at half time. And dismal after that. The reporter says about the conditions being inhospitable. Well, he's right, because it was a dismal game the second half. It could only have been stayed 1-1, because neither side looked like they were even interested in scoring goals, never mind getting a goal. So never mind, that's where we are with Portsmouth. And we now come back to UEFA Cup quarterfinal, first leg against Sporting Lisbon. Cold night is my memory. The fact that the reporter says freezing, it was a cold night. I do remember that. And Shearer's back on duty. And having said we knew 5 from Portsmouth, guess what? We bought him, and he's in the side for this match. Given Carr, Hughes, Andy O'Brien, Taylor, Dyer, Robert, Fay, Yenis, Shearer, and Amiobi. And Sporting Lisbon, full of Portuguese internationals, obviously. Rodrigo, Beto, Yorgi, Martins, Barbosa, San Pinto, all Portuguese internationals. And it's a good football game, but the only person that looks like he's going to score is going to be Alan Shearer, because he keeps hitting the woodwork. And then on 37 minutes, he doesn't hit the woodwork. He actually does get it into the Udyard bag. And we go in at half-time 1-0. And second half's a tidy game, and looks like we're going to win it. We do, but it's still only 1-0, because the second half, it didn't look like anybody was going to score. So now, after that European game, we've got a nice little trip to Anfield to a away game against Liverpool. And, they're another side that's tipped to be doing things at the top, although they're nowhere near Chelsea, who are running away with the league at the moment. It's a tidy game, always good football game, but we surprised them. Clivert on 32 gets win the league, but then an own goal from Bramble on 35 makes it 1-1. 38 minutes, Mello for Liverpool makes it 2-1. And 61 minutes, Barros makes it 3-1 to Liverpool. And from then on, there was never any doubt about who was going to take this game, with Liverpool streets ahead of us. Liverpool side, Dudek, Finnan, Hippier, Carragher, Risi, La Garcia, Gerrard, Alonso, Kewell, Barros, and Mello. And as I say, a tidy side and just too strong for us is the only honest way to describe it. But 3-1, and we come home with that from Anfield for our tails between our legs, which wouldn't be the first time. And then we're away to Blackburn on my birthday, 26th of December. And everybody's hoping that Blackburn aren't playing very well. Surely we'll get something out of this game. And start off like Grease Lightning, Dyer in 6 minutes, and we're in the lead. 25 minutes, Dick off, who's always a pain in the side for us, makes it 1-1. And Rob Air with a free kick on 38, and we go in 2-1 at half time. But then Todd at 54 minutes makes it 2-2. And that's the way it stays until the end of the game. Blackburn side got some big names in it. Friedel, Neil, Todd, Janssen, Matteo, Reed, Flitcroft, Ferguson, Emerton, Dickoff and Stead. And tidy side. We played given Taylor, Hughes, Elliot O'Brien, Dyer, Jenis, Milner, Clivert, Bellamy and Robert. and 2-2. It was wasn't a bad game, but it was a game that looked like it was a draw from well on in. No doubt about that. We're next at home to another one of the teams that's been touted as possible champions. That's Arsenal, and it isn't going to be easy. Obviously, 50,000 crowd, full house for this, and it's going quite well. Looks like we're in no danger. And then right on the last kick of the first half, right on half time, Patrick Vieira from a corner makes it 1-0, and we'll go in no goal down. Second half, well, some end-to-end stuff, both teams having a go, but the only side that looks like it's going to win is going to be Arsenal, and they do. It stays 1-0 to them. And of course, the talented side, Almunia in goal, Lauren, Toure, Sol Campbell, Ashley Cole, Lundberg, Patrick Vieira, Flamini, Robert Perez, Thierry Henry, and Robin Van Persie. Real talented bunch of players. But we gave them as good as we got. We lost 1-0, but it could have stayed better than that. But we're sliding to the wrong end of the league now with that defeat, and we're at home to Birmingham City on the Saturday, and another rainy, damp day again. And everybody's hoping that we'll start reversing some of these score lines. And this is an opportunity because Birmingham are at the wrong end of the league. And at least we're hovering about the middle, which is still not brilliant, but not as bad as them. Unchanged side for us. With Birmingham, it's Taylor, Melchiot, Upson, Cunningham, Telby, Johnson, Carter, Savage, Lazaridis, Heskey, and Morrison. And they're play some tidy football, but there's Amiobi on 6 minutes from a corner, beautiful header from Shola, and then on 44 minutes, Bowyer nips in the Ghoster corner into the back of the net, so that's 2-0 at half time, and it looks like we're going to have a nice easy victory. Well, on 64 minutes, Emil Heskey with a towering header at the other end makes it 2-1, and after that we're really backs to the wall because Birmingham have a go, and they need to because they're in a terrible state in the league. But we win 2-1. We go out 2-1, which is recovering our league position quite nicely, and so then we're off to the Midlands to Birmingham's neighbours, West Brom. And again, another side that's not doing very much, and we should be going with a chance in this one. Well, we do. We have an unchanged team, given Taylor, Bramble, Hughes, Bernard, and Zogua, Bowyer, Dyer, Jennis, Robert, and Amiobi. And West Brom, Holt, Albertson, Pearce, Clement, Robinson, Semica, Johnson, Walwork, Earnshaw, Horsfield, and Carnew. And virtually unchanged all season, that lineup for West Brom. Very dull game, though. Very dull. 0-0 at half time, and never any doubt it was going to be 0-0 at the second half as well. And that's how it ended, a 0-0 draw. And a very dismal 0-0 draw as well. Which is quite sad. We now come to the third round of the FA Cup against Yeadon, this is the banana skin for Newcastle, isn't it? Everybody's expecting another slip up, but not this time. They get their act together, and 51 minutes, Bowyer scores. 61 minutes, Shola scores. 2-0, and basically they were never a threat. Tidy side for a non-league side, but never any real threat. Our side, Harper Taylor, Boomsong, John Allen Boomsong, Bramble, Bobby Arrow, Nzogua, Jenis, Bowyer, Robert, Bellamy, and Amiobi. And you're starting to see some of Souness' signings slipping into the side. Yeadon, who used Loftus Road for this game to give them a chance to make a bit more money. And they had one or two decent players. Preddy, the goalkeeper, well known. Leach, a defender from one of the big London clubs. Stanley, Brown, Campbell and Clark all had decent careers earlier in their careers in London area, and turning out nicely for Yeadon. But 2-0 to Newcastle without any real trouble through the next round, which is a relief. We're at home to Southampton next on the Saturday. Another rainy day. Southampton come with the talented side. They've been buying one or two players. Naomi, Telfer, Luke Van Dam, Davenport, Higginbottom, Prutton, Redknapp, Delap, McCann, Phillips, and Crouch. And side to give us some concerns, but on 9 minutes, Shearer calms the nurse with the first goal. And 38 minutes, Bramble, the header from a corner, as centre half, has now made it 2. And then on just before half time, 42 minutes, Peter Crouch ghosts in and ducks down and puts a header in to make it on 42 minutes to make it 2-1. And but the reality is that even after half time, they never look like pushing us to any degree at all. Next game is at Highbury. Very cold day is my memory, and that's what the commentary says. Arsenal aren't slipping out of the title race, that's for sure, but they're still well ahead of us. And with our team unchanged, we go with some hope. But Arsenal, Almunia, Lauren, Campbell, Torre, Cole, Perez, Vieira, Flamini, Reyes, Bergkamp, and Henry, and a good side they are. Bergkamp scores on 19 minutes, and that's how it stays till half time. And from that juncture on, Newcastle never look like they're going to score. It looks very, very pedestrian, to say the least. So we come home with a 1-0 defeat. Could have been worse, I suppose, but it's enough to make us think twice. FA Cup 4th round, Coventry City at St James's. It's a game we should win, you know. But that's often said about Newcastle United, we should win, especially in the cups. However, with an unchanged team, Harper, Carr, Bramble, O'Brien, Baviaro, Dyer, Fye, Jenis, Clivett, Shearer, and Amiobi. Coventry City, Eric Steele in goal, Duffy, Williams, Leacock, Giddens, an ex-Old Villa player, Doyle, Old Villa player, Hughes, Morrell, McSheffrey, and John. A tidy side, but not should be troubling us. And Coventry aren't the team that's going to knock out of this competition. And surely they have bring on a substitute called Ali Bola, who's a striker of reputation, and they bring him off the bench. And right on the stroke of half time, he's no sooner on the pitch than he scores. But by then, of course, we're 2-0 in the lead. Shearer on 37, Amiobi on 42. And it's 2-0, and Ali Bola's goal makes it 2-1. And Coventry manager still wanting to argue about things that are already past and gone. Playing good football on this one. And 52 minutes, Bobby Yarrow makes it 3-1. And that's how it's going to stay. Everybody thinks that it would be harsh to punish Coventry any more than they have been. But they were lucky they weren't. It was a tidy win for Newcastle and through to the next round of the FA Cup. Next game, we're away to Manchester City in the league at the City of Manchester Stadium. The last game was 4-3. This is going to be like this again. Nobody knows, but anyway, the one thing is familiar is the first goal, like in the last game, was scored by Alan Shearer on 9 minutes, and we go in at half time 1-0 up. But just after half time, they get a penalty, as in the last game, and Lee Bowyer steps forward and takes it and makes it 1-1. So, good football game is always Manchester City, and because the tidy side, James, Mills, Dunn, Diston, Thatcher, Wright, Phillips, Barton, name we get to know, Busfeld, Busabba, Fowler, and Macken. They're a tidy team and giving us trouble. But we keep plugging away despite the fact that we've been plugged back to 1-1 with Shearer's goal holding us together. But 1-1 is how it stays, and we have to go home happy with that. And I think most people did actually for what was a reasonably tidy game. So we're now at home to Charlton Athletic. Awful weather conditions for this one, but we should be winning this one. Charlton are bouncing along the bottom of the league. Their side's almost unchanged from the one we played in London. Kiley, Young, Perry, El Katouri, Hydrarson, Romedal, Holland, Murphy, Kishlev, Konchesky, and Bartlett. Lisby was on the bench, and Anderson, who had played in the first game. First half, nobody's going to score, 0-0. Very, very dire sport without criticising anybody, but it's not. It's a game we should be winning. With Charlton up here, good crowd considering nearly 50,000 at the game, and we come out. We get the 0-0 at half time, and it's pretty boring. Come out second half, and Dyer looks like he's going to win the game on his own, and on 52 minutes, he scores one of his typical long run goals, and then lo and behold, we're half asleep after the kick-off, and Romedal, their striker, makes it on 53 minutes, makes it 1-1. And that's how it stays. Charlton weren't going to give the point up, and we didn't have the skill to do anything about it. And so it stayed 1-1 with that one. We're now venturing back into the UEFA Cup. Third round, first leg. And we're playing Heerenveen, Dutch side. And obviously a side that Bobby Robson will know, Souness will know all about, because he had something to do with Heerenveen in his career. And so did Bobby Robson, ironically. And reputation of being a good side, good footballing side, and that's what they look out. First half, it's theirs. With Foden, Bushy, and then goal, Bhakti, Hansen, Brewer, Raza, Van Rijmen, Hestad, Huntelier, who's all Dutch international, Praga, Budinch, Yildirim. Yildirim is a Czech international, but the others who are European internationals, but most of them, of course, Dutch, being a Dutch side. Huntelier gives them the lead on 24 minutes, and it never really looks like they're going to give it up. And then in the second half, a certain Mr. Shearer decides to take proceedings into his hands, and he becomes into one of those moods where he's just unplayable. And sure enough, on 69 minutes, he shows just how unplayable when he makes it 1-1. And then on 82 minutes, a rebound from a Shearer drive comes to Bowyer, who is able to tap it in the corner unopposed, and we get 2-1 win, which is for a European match, of course, is brilliant to have a 2-1 win away from home. The side, given Carl Bryan, Bramble, Fye, Babiaro, Bowyer, Jennings, Clivert, Omiobi, and Shearer, and tidy front three, that Clivert, Omiobi, and Shearer. Height, pace, strength, the whole lot. But we get a away win, which is absolutely fantastic. And we at home to Chelsea, and FA Cup 5th round. Now this is a game we're not expecting a lot out of, because they're playing so well and running away with the league. People think, well, they'll probably win this as well. But surprise, surprise, despite the very heavy snow throughout the game, the game went on, and it was never any danger of being called off. But the one thing that did happen, and I can remember it happened, was that in this game, it was one of the first time I've seen a referee change the white ball for a yellow ball. It was a bright yellow ball that they played with. And but we give them a good game. I mean, Chelsea were having a go and we were having a go. And interestingly, on 4 minutes, Clivert got the opening goal, sort of all on his own in the penalty area, and it went end to end after that, with Chelsea trying everything they had, and us too. But it was going to be 1-0. Clearly, that nobody could hit the net. Plenty would work. Remember one particular, it was snowing that well. There was plenty of snow on the crossbar, and I think it was Jeremy, the Chelsea Brazilian player, hit a ball from 30 odd yards and it hit the bar. And I remember vividly the pile of snow on the top of the bar, scattering all over the place, and Shea Given getting a nice snow shower as it all came down. But we held on to the 1-0 despite their trying. I mean, their side was Kulagini, Johnson, Gallas, Cavallio, Bridge, Jereski, Smeriton, Tiago, Jeremy, Kesman, and Cole. And we put out Given, Carr, Boomsong, Bramble, Babiaro, Dyer, Jennings, Butt, Robert, Shearer, and Clivert. And we went through to the next round 1-0, and delighted, considering that, as I say, Chelsea were running away with the league. Put it mildly. And we're back home for the second leg of the UEFA Cup 3rd round against Hervé. Well, the first game had been a good game. This is a Thursday night game live on TV, and it's a good game. They want to have a go, and we're not going to give it up. And on 10 minutes, an own goal from their defender Brewer gives with the lead. 25 minutes, Shearer makes it 2-0, and we go in at half-time 2-0 up. And straight after the half-time whistle, Brudic, their dangerous attacker, scores and makes it 2-1. And then it's a good game, and they really have a go. They've slight change in this substitutes. They brought a lad in from Greece called Samaras, and he was proven to be a thorn in our side, but at the end of the day, they never looked like they were going to do very much with it until the Brudnik, the I think he's a German attacker, made it 2-1. But there was no way we're going to surrender this. It was a 2-1 win and a 4-2 on aggregate victory, which was really appreciated, I think, by people. Next game is a home league game against Bolton Wanderers. Everybody's hoping that this is not going to be as dull as the Bolton game in Bolton. They were right. It wasn't. It was a very decent game, really decent game. Good football with both sides having a go. Bowyer for 35 minutes opens the scoring. Giannopoulos, their Greek guide, Bolton, 41 minutes equalises. We go in at 1-1 at half time. And everybody's expecting fireworks in the second half. Well, not really. The game's ours. Bolton never looked like bothering. And on 69 minutes, Kieran Dyer slots in one of his goals and makes it 2-1 for us. And that's how it stays. Bolton with their full side out with all the talented players they've got, and of course with names that we know like Gary Speed and Noble and so on. It's a tidy game, and 2-1 win, and we're starting to get back up towards the middle and up above the middle in the league, which is refreshing because now we're not looking too clever. We're then at home to Liverpool on the 5th of March, on Saturday the 5th of March. Dull weather conditions, damp again. Liverpool not challenging for the title, but certainly up amongst the top 5 in the league, so it's not going to be an easy game. 0-0 at half-time. One of those games where it was 0-0 at half-time could have been 4-4. The ball was bouncing around the penalty area like a billiard ball. And they could have had as goals as we should have had goals. And it was going to take something special to settle this game. One of those 0-0s where, going to take, well, and of course, who did we have on our side? Laurent Robert. And if you want something special, you give Laurent Robert a free kick, don't you? And that's exactly what he did. The Lasers end way out wide on the flank, in a position where he should never really be putting the ball in the back of the net. Well, he set off this exocet that went over the wall and into the far corner of the goal before Carson, the substitute Liverpool goalkeeper, could move. And 1-0, points are ours because there's no way they're going to come back from that. And given Carr, Boomsong, Bramble, Hughes, Dyer, Fye, Bowyer, Robert, Amiobi and Shearer, and Liverpool, Carson, Finnan, Pellegrino, Hippier, Carragher, Garcia, Biscan, Smersha, Girard, Reset and Barros. Tidy side, that Liverpool side, and yet even though they were 1-0 down the second half, they never really troubled me, which was a bit of a surprise. I think everybody expected more fireworks than they got. Next, we're off to Athens, to Olympiakos. Well, depends which side of Athens you live on. If you live on the seaside of Athens, it's Olympiakos is the number 1 team. If you live in the city, the north of the city, it's Panathinaikos. It's the number 1 team. And there's other teams around Athens as well. But we're going to Olympiakos. And if anything should set we up, they play in red and white stripes, so that should give us something to set well on fire a bit. And setting on fire, well, the game starts off with lots of fireworks in the sense that it looks like it's going to be a kicking match. The 12 minutes and Shearer's dropped in the penalty area by their centre half. And 16 minutes we return the favour by Bramble dropping somebody in the penalty area, and Djokovic, the forward, equalises Shearer's penalty. And it's a tidy game after that. Some good football, but it becoming a bit of a kicking match. Robert in 34 minutes gets a good goal from a free kick. And we go in at 2-1 at half time. And that's a good result at Olympiacos because they're regarded as a strong side. But then cap it all, Clivett on 69 makes it 3. So we're getting a really good away win in this match. However, in between, there's some kicking and pushing and all sorts of things. Koutsalas, their midfielder, takes Robert out for the 3rd or 4th time in a short space of time, so he marches off. And Georgiatos, he's midfielder stroke defender, decides to have a go at Shearer, and Shearer ducks the punch, but the referee sees it and off he goes. So they end up with 9 men. But still wouldn't have mattered. We beat them well and truly in a good victory because they're regarded as a strong side in Europe. We come home to a home match against Tottenham Hotspur. Sky Sports game. Conditions described by a reporter as epic. I think what he means is it was blown a bloody gale. No, this is the 6th round of the FA Cup. That's right. And epic because it was blown a gale, and I think the result was epic as well because Tottenham were playing very well. Anyway, we go out as though we intend to win it, and Clivett in 5 minutes makes it 1-0, and stays like that till half time. Second half, everybody's expecting a Tottenham onslaught, but it didn't come. A talented side: Robinson, Paramount, Naibet, King, Atuba, Ziegler, Brown, Carrick, Davis, Defoe, and Canute couldn't make an impression on Newcastle defence. So we end up with a 1-0 win in the 6th round of the FA Cup, and that's great. However, it's a match that has its bit of antagonism. Boomsong, Amibiobi, and Shearer are booked to Newcastle. Atuba, Brown, Paramount, Ziegler, Naibet, and Davis are all booked for Tottenham. So how it all ended up 11-11 at the end, I don't know. But the important thing for us is we're through the cup at the next round with a 1-0 victory. And the next game at home is the return leg with Olympiacos at St James's Park. And mild weather conditions, in brackets unruffled. I think that's referring to the result because Olympiacos just surrendered this one. Didn't come like they did at their own place. And it's just a procession. Dyer 18 minutes, Shearer 45, Bowyer 54, Shearer 69, 4-0 win, 7-1 aggregate. And disappointing in a sense. Great for us because we won hands down, but disappointing in the sense that they just seemed to surrender it. It wasn't if it had been a boxing match, the referee would have stopped it at half time. It was so one-sided. So we now away to Portsmouth down to Fratton Park. For me personally, historically, my family used to love to go to Portsmouth when they were in the league in the early years, and had lots of friends there, largely because some of my uncles were in the Navy and Portsmouth was their home base, so they used to like to go. And when they went to these games, they used to have a pint or two with their mates and dust down on their mates' floor rather than come straight home. Anyway, with Portsmouth, who aren't playing very well, chance to get 3 points. We're certainly giving it a go. 43 minutes just before half time, Dyer scores, and everybody thinks, well, that's a good one. And the last kick of the first half, Stone, their busy midfielder, England midfielder, scores a 45, so we go in 1-1 at half time. Our side, given Carl O'Brien, Andy O'Brien, Boomsong, Hughes, Bowyer, Butt, Fye, Robert, Dyer, and Shearer. And it's Ashdown, Primus, Stanovic, Stevanovic, Dezu, Taylor, Stone, Scotolitis, Cisse, Berger, Yakubu and Lualua for Portsmouth. Tidy football inside, but a one that's slightly disjointed, and the 1-1's how it stays. Nobody looks like they're going to score in the second half, and it's a draw it's a point for us, and keeps we round at thereabouts, round the middle of the league, which is pleasing. But the real critics would say that it's a game we should have won. At home to Aston Villa, who are playing very well indeed, and are challenging at the top of the league, or certainly in the top 5. And it's a game which is a good football game, but not from Newcastle point of view, because it's Villa from the start and Villa right through. 5 minutes in, Jules scores. 73 minutes, Barry scores from a penalty. 80 minutes, Barry scores from a penalty. Both penalties given away by Jean-Alain Boumsong, reckless tackles. And we lose at 3-0. And it was a bit of a rough game as well. The 6-7 players booked all together. And for us, you can guess who would be for us, with Bowyer in the side. Amiobi gets booked, and Fye gets booked. For them, Ridgewell, Melberg, and Hitzelberger, and but Villa run out 3-0 winners, easy winners, just depressingly easy winners if you're a Newcastle fan. So they've really given us a tanking over those 2 games, and we end up, of course, this is the farcical game when we get 2 players sent off for Newcastle United for fighting each other. This is the game where Bowyer and Dyer, on 82 minutes, had a disagreement, and it turned into fisticuffs, and the referee sent them both off. And then, of course, it is also the game where Stephen Taylor did his beautiful act of being like a man being shot, and handled the ball and got sent off for deliberate handball. So it was an eventful game, but a one which Newcastle fans will want to forget. And it was the game that I was pleased when Graham Souness was appointed, because I thought he would take a handle on the club. Well, this game showed he had no handle on it at all, in my view, with the 2 clowns getting sent off together. Anyway, we're now back to European Cup quarter-final with Sporting Lisbon back at St James's Park. Good side, talented side. This is the quarter-final first leg, and we strong side. We got our strongest side out, and they're littered with Portuguese and internationals, and a couple of Brazilian internationals as well. San Pinto and Moutinho, Brazilian internationals, and a good game, an excellent game from a football point of view. Very, very cold, I remember, for an April night, but at least it was dry, and end-to-end stuff. 37 minutes, Alan Shearer does his usual thing, a loose ball and bang, volleys into the net, and that gives us the 1-0 lead. It's end-to-end stuff second half, but neither side look like they're going to put the ball in the net, and that's how it stays. So we get a nice 1-0 first leg win. Good start, and we then have an away game in the league to Tottenham, and everybody thinks, well, Tottenham are about where we are, but can we get a draw out of this? Well, it was a good, even game, end-to-end stuff. Nobody looked like they were going to score. And then, of course, who who on 42 minutes sneaked through our defence. A little man called Defoe, who was the thorn in our side for lots of reasons. And we lose at 1-0. That's how it stayed. We never looked like scoring. Their side, Robinson, Kelly, Gardner, King, Reid, Davis, Carrick, Edmund, Brown, Canute and Defoe. We had Harper, Carter, Andy O'Brien, Bumsong, Bobby Yarrow, Butt, Fai, Robert, Janice, Shearer and Amiobi. But we never looked like scoring. It was once one of those games that the first goal would settle it, and it did. We lose that one. We come home then to the second leg of. We go away to the second leg of the UEFA quarterfinal to Sporting Lisbon, and it's a game which live on Channel 5. We're looking good up to half time. Score on 20 through 20 minutes through Dyer, and then Nicolute scores for them on 40, so we go in 1-1, and we're giving them everything. But after the second half, the Sporting Lisbon Brazilians, San Pinto and João Moutinho, take the game off. We really just turn them upside down, and San Pinto 71, Beto 77, Ruchenbach 90 minutes, make it 4-1. That's 4-2 to Sporting Lisbon on aggregate. We just seemed to fold in the second half. I don't know why, but we did, and so that's us out of the UEFA Cup. But we got the quarter final, which is not bad. A lot further than a lot of the pundits give us credit for. That's for sure. So now we're back home to semi-final of the FA Cup. I've got to admit, this is one of the most miserable days I've ever had in bloody Wales. we played at the Millennium Stadium this semi-final in Cardiff, and as usual, we went down with a crowd with Neil and Frecky and Tim and Mike, and determined to have a good weekend. It was on the Sunday of the game. Miserable wet day, and of course they didn't close the roof, so the pitch was a bit of a quagmire. And but then so was our defence, as the reporter here says. Heavy rain and a porous defence lead goals. Yeah, that's about it. That sums it up. There was so much about this weekend, which was quite depressing. Not just the football, but remember that it was at the time when they were pressing this keep race out of football thing, and they were wearing armbands. And I was watching all the Magpies supporters beside us buying their armbands, keep race out of football. And halfway through the second half, when we were well and truly out of this game, the chorus from the Newcastle supporters was, "I'd rather be a Packy than a Mank." Well, I'm not sure what that did for keeping race out of football. Quite the reverse. But it just added to the awful weekend it was.
Yeah, I mean, and obviously, even on this platform, we've got to be careful using that kind of language. We're not endorsing it. We're not saying that. It's just a reference to the day, George.
It just represented how awful the day was.
Yeah, it was awful. Yeah.
And 2-0 at half time from Van Nistelrooy and Scholes. Amiobi, Van Nistelrooy again on 58, and on 59 minutes, Shola got a consolation. Then Ronaldo on 76, and after that it was Manchester United just playing like a practice game, and really doing nothing for us. And then to rub it in at the end, of course, we had the Nicky Butt scenario when the TV cameras showed the screens on the screens around the ground after the match. There in the Manchester United dressing room was Nicky Butt. Shaking hands with his old Manchester United mates as though they were still everything was all right. That did not go down well with the Newcastle fans, and I don't think Nicky would ever recovered from that. Actually, Newcastle fans were on his back from then on, and as I say, it just added to what was a calamitous weekend for us. It was so bad that when he didn't have a drink, he actually drove the car home himself. That says something. Anyway, we're back. We're back in the league duty and playing Norwich City, and we go to Carrow Road. Hopefully, we might get something, but Norwich just on this particular day just too good for her. And Safri on 68, Dean Ashton on 90 minutes, and then last kick of the game, Clivert gets a consolation, and it's no more than that. We come home with a 2-0 win when we'd hoped to get a victory, but it didn't happen. And so 2-1 loss at Norwich. We then renew our rivalries with Manchester United again, and that filled everybody with horror because this was the return league match at Old Trafford. Well, credit to the lads, they did have a go. And indeed, on 27 minutes, we took the lead through Ambrose. And fingers crossed, people thought, well, can we hang on to it? Well, we did for a while. 57 minutes, Rooney scored. 75 minutes, Brown scores the second. And it's a 2-1 win to Manchester United. But the plus was, at least we had a goal. We didn't give them the game like we did at Cardiff. It was a decent game of football and with some end-to-end stuff. For us, it was one of the best games that I remember Inzaghi having for he was a threat all the time to Manchester United, and good on. But at least we give it a go. We come home to a return leg of the Tyne Tees derby, Middlesbrough, and a good game. 52,500. The crowd's back supporting the team, and everybody's hoping to get something. Well, end-to-end stuff, lots of woodwork, no goals. Nobody's going to hit the onion bag this game, and you could see it coming. And even Alan Shearer, I think he hit the crossbar twice in the first half, and I think even he was looking at the sky, wondering where the goal was going to come from. Well, it never came, and we ended up 0-0 at the end, despite there being some good football. Middlesbrough, Jones, Davies, Ekiog, Southgate, Quadru, Parler, Dorivo, Boateng, Zenden, Nemeth, and Hasselbank. A really tidy side. And we had Given and Ramage is now coming into the side. Elliott, O'Brien, Carr, Boomsong, Dyer, Milner, Nzobia, Shearer, and Ambrose. And Ambrose, this is one of the better games Ambrose had, actually. And he got a booking because of his enthusiasm. He wouldn't let go, and it was nice. The other thing is to mention is that there's Souness decided to play young Ramage at right back and switch Carr across the left back, and that was a miserable failure in my opinion, because Carr was not a left back, which is a debate we're having elsewhere at the moment. But it was a decent game, which was a tragic 0-0 because just nobody could stick the ball in the back of the net. The next game's a home game, return home game against Palace, Crystal Palace, and good day, nice day, and I wish I could say the same about the football, because it was 0-0. And it was an awful 0-0, where the Middlesbrough game was a 0-0, and was quite entertaining. There was nothing at all entertaining in this game against Crystal Palace. In fact, I noticed on this now that the commentator's comment about conditions was comatose, he says. Well, he was right. It was a miserable 0-0. Palace came to be like that, and we just didn't have the wit or the skill to break them down. And try as we might, it just never happened. And 0-0, the point was keeping in the middle of the league, but it was an awful game. So we then have Fulham at home, away rather. We go to Craven Cottage and another trip to London, not a bit heavy-hearted, and people wondering what's going to happen. Well, for one occasion, we suddenly turn it on. Kluivert's on top form, and he opens the scoring on 18. Ambrose gets another one on 62. Amiobi on 75. And then Radzinski gets a consolation for Fulham to make it 3-1. But it's our match all the way through. One of the best away games we had that season. Fulham just couldn't get hold of it at all. And they had quite a decent side. Van der Sar, Volts, Knight, Goma, former our player, Rosinia, Radzinski, Pembridge, Clark, our famous Clark, Lee, Boamorte, Cole, and McBride. So decent side, and yet we wiped the floor with them at their own place, and it was, as I say, one of the best away games of our season. We're then away to Everton. Everton are just above us in the league. Nice warm day. This is another one where I was the chauffeur for the gang, but it was a game which we didn't get into it really, is the honest answer. And the difference was Everton were up for it, and 43 minutes we scored from a corner, headed corner. It's 1-0 at half time, and then Club Salt in the wound, our other centre half, Cahill, headed the second one to make it 2-0. We never got close. We didn't have Shearer in the side either, but Kluivert wasn't on form, and some of the others just didn't look interested, I've got to say. And probably, from my point of view, in terms of away games, one of the worst games Alan Boomsong had for Newcastle. He really was dreadful that day. Souness decided to put Shearer on the bench. I think that was a mistake. He should have played Shearer, but I don't think it would matter that much. Everton were just too good for it. 2-0 to loss, and it was a bit of a thing. Bit of a nonsense, really. Last home game against Chelsea, who are now crowned champions. They're 12 points ahead of the nearest rival. Was it even more than that? 12, was it 14? Ahead of their rivals. And it just, they're just coming for a coronation, really, which was tremendous. Yeah, they're 14 points ahead of Arsenal in second place, which is, an incredible achievement by any standards. And they're coming to St James's, and with some trepidation, we think, well, are they going to be on their mettle? I mean, the league was funny at that time. The third place is Manchester United on only 77 points, where Chelsea were 20-odd points ahead of them. And in the middle, where we were, 14th, 13th, 12th, 11th and 10th, there's only 4 points between all those clubs. So, but anyway, we give Chelsea a game and have a go. And even though they go down 1-0 at 33 with an own goal by Jeremy, Lampard on 35 equalises with a penalty to make it 1-1. And that's how it stayed the rest of the game. But it was an entertaining game. And once again, the Newcastle fans, for me, always show their mettle when they need to. And they're to a man, is my recollection, all the way around the pitch, the ground. Chelsea were applauded off the pitch. And indeed, their manager encouraged them to go back on the pitch at the end, to stand at the mouth of the tunnel to receive the accolade from the Newcastle fans. And that's the sort of thing that makes me proud to be a Newcastle fan. But so 1-1 was it. 14th we ended. It could have been, a couple of wins. We could have been as high as 10th. But things that happened off the pitch kind of tainted the season. And then the debacle with Bowyer and just made it worse. The rubbish at Cardiff made it worse. It wasn't our best season. Wasn't our best season. But lots of interesting things as always with Newcastle. The fans recover themselves by averaging the crowd back up to nearly 52,000 again, which because after Bobby was sacked, the crowds dipped down. But overall, it's a bit sad, but some good things, but mostly one or two sad things.
Never a dull moment in Newcastle United. 2004,
never,
2005, completed by George. Once again, thanks for your time. Look forward to the next one, George.
Okay, Steve. Thanks for watching, everybody. Do appreciate it.
A big thanks to all our sponsors. Skips and Bins, telephone 0800 25 45 25 3, email inquiries at skipsandbins.com, website skipsandbins.com, easy contract free and pay-as-you-go waste collection. Thanks to Mr. Vicky's Sauces, handmade in Cumbria. Their website, mrvickies.co.uk. Telephone 01768 210 102 or email info@mrvickies.co.uk. Thanks to United Group Travel. There are no strangers on our tours, just friends you haven't met yet. Their website, unitedgrouptravel.com. Email beverly.ugtl@gmail.com. Telephone 01670 632 460 or mobile 0791 666 4174. Thanks to Media Arts for the technical side of things. And you can also find us as a podcast on iTunes, Spotify, or other podcast providers. You can subscribe to the channel by hitting the subscribe button underneath this video. Hit the all notifications bell so you don't miss a show. Hit the thumb up to like the channel and click share to share to your social media. If you want to join the channel, then click join for as little as $1.99 a month. If you want to become a member, for a one-off £25 payment, email john@nufcmatters.com or go to membership at the website nufcmatters.com. If you've got a smartphone, hold your camera over the QR code and it'll take you straight there. We also help the food bank on this channel. Go to nufcfansfoodbank.co.uk to the matchday bucket and you can leave a virtual donation today.